So I was one of the students of École des Ponts. I did SOGF for the second year and worked a bit with the whole innovation department for my basically project. And then I had this year gap that you can do in École des Ponts, and I went to Silicon Valley, worked for a startup, actually where one of the early employees were from Les Ponts as well. So that's how we got connected. It's a startup in Mountain View, very near to Google offices, LinkedIn offices. So it's really the heart of Silicon Valley. I worked there and studied in Berkeley for my final year, and so that's where I got exposed to the whole ecosystem of Silicon Valley, innovation culture, startup culture. It's really interesting because they really give you the chance and the opportunities, the tools to get started on a crazy idea. And so that's what I did. And on the final year of this master, started Ava. So Ava is a company. It's available in the App Store and Android. You can just download it. If you know or communicate with a deaf person, you can just connect to them using their Ava ID or just their phone number. You can send them an invite. And what we do is basically making sure that you can connect very quickly and very easily, and what you say can be actually accessible visually for the deaf person. And so that's what AVA stands for, audio-visual accessibility. So that any information that happens in our hearing world can also be accessible for the visual world, which is the #1 language for somebody who has hearing loss. And the deaf person can just follow the conversation, and each time they get lost, look back to the app and see and fill the gaps of the conversation. The beginning of this startup actually happened like 25 years ago, because I was born in a family where everybody is deaf except me. So my father, my mother, my sister are deaf, and so my first language is actually sign language, not French, not English. And so growing up, you're always between two worlds, the hearing world and the deaf world, and trying to solve the communication challenges that happen all the time. So it's not one problem that I try to solve. It's like I was exposed to 25 sort of problems of communication all the time. The reason we started Ava was really by listening to users and people who are deaf and hard of hearing. So we went to kind of interview, talk to them, meet them, about 65 of them for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Sometimes using sign language, American Sign Language, sometimes just writing on paper if they didn't know about sign language. And you get to understand that there is like a deeper need than the first idea that we had in the beginning. So we started initially in Berkeley with a glove, like a sign language glove, basically, that was supposed to map out what people said and signed and voice it out automatically afterwards. But what's interesting is that it solved part of the problem, which was to express itself, but didn't solve the problem of group conversations. And when we put it out and showed it to people, really trying to understand what was the real pain points and the real needs they had, I had this first communication challenge about sign language communication that was in my mind, but then this highlighted another communication challenge I knew but didn't know was the most fundamental one, which was the group conversation. Overwhelming part of them were interested in this part that we thought was secondary, which was this whole idea of a screen able to understand, especially in group conversations. So we came back to the working table and we understand if we really want to fix it, we can't just use existing technologies, we have to rethink how everything works together. And so we designed a system that literally uses the ability that we get from the user experience and the understanding of the users to be able to supercharge the technology.
Hey dude, how's it going?
Okay, so right now I'm just speaking and answering Krish, who is connecting to me in the same room. So I can just connect people in one tap, and this is how you can have 10 devices being connected in the same conversation in the same time. We've got like incredible testimonials, like some people who one user, for example, who is a massage therapist, so she uses Ava to just understand at her work and be able to talk to the patient that is just lying down on the table, and she started using it for even very common situation that we didn't even expect it. For example, she goes outside, take a walk with her friends. It's the evening, it's very dark. She can't really follow what's being said by her own friends. And so now she has Eva, and she just wrote a whole blog post about her experience holding Eva and how it changed her life, like literally. And so seeing this happening, when in the beginning you were trying to solve a pain point that you saw with the original user, is this huge step that you feel when you actually accomplish this mission of being a companion for accessibility for your user. So once we got that, once we got this feedback, that gives us a lot of strength to try to scale it to 400 million people, which is the number of people that have this problem today, 5% of the world population.